Well, hey everybody, it's Randy Ray here, the Literate Texan. It's August 1st, and you know what that means. It's time for a new TBR video. What am I going to read in August? You know, it's funny. If you've paid any attention to this channel at all, you'll notice that my to-be-read videos and my wrap-up videos at the end of every month rarely reflect the same list of books. But I keep trying to plan my reading, keep trying to have interesting projects going on. Maybe this month I'll read some of the books on my TBR. Maybe I'll read all of them. I don't know. I've got 8 here. I set them way over here, so I'm going to make this really awkward thing where I'm going to lean over here and grab them. I'm still not 100% myself. Y'all forgive me for that. But I figured you'd rather have me at my somewhat diminished capacity than not have me at all. If I'm wrong, correct me in the comments. So, at the top of this list, I've been meaning to read this for a while. It's a novel by Bruce Sterling called Heavy Weather. And I guess this is an early entry in the genre of climate fiction, cli-fi, they call it. But I'm going to read the back of this. It sounds really interesting to me. They call themselves the Storm Troop, and they hack heavy weather. They chase the monster storms that twist erratically across the southwestern Badlands, laid to waste by the greenhouse effect. They survive on scrap, grunge, free software, danger, and the charisma of their leader, the brilliant mathematician, Dr. Jerry Mulcahy. Equipped with military surplus, smart vehicles, networked laptop computers, and virtual reality gear, the Storm Troop is chasing the ultimate storm, the F6 tornado. Few outside the troop even believe that an F6 is possible. Yet something unmistakably monstrous is brewing in the wrecked atmosphere over America's tornado alley. But no one in the troop, not even its brilliant, driven leader, guesses the real nature of the F6 or the shadowy forces unleashed in its twisting fury. Not until it's too late. That sounds like a good one. Frankly, it sounds like something that should have been made into a movie. I'm surprised it hasn't already. Anyway, Heavy Weather by Bruce Sterling is number 1 on my to-be-read list. Number 2 on my to-be-read list for August is The Moviegoer by Walker Percy. Or actually, I guess it's subtitled a novel. The Moviegoer, a novel. Which almost seems redundant. But, what does it say about this one? Okay, this was recommended to me by Better Than Food. So thanks, guy. Binks Bowling, a young New Orleans stockbroker, fills his days with movies and casual sex. Doesn't sound too bad. His life offers him nothing worth retaining. What he treasures are scenes from films like The Third Man and Stagecoach, not the personal, emotional experiences he knows other people hold dear. When he is on the cusp of turning 30, however, something changes for Binks. On Mardi Gras, he embarks on a quest for some form of authentic experience. The consequences of Binks' hunt on both himself and his unstable cousin Kate prove outrageous, tragic, and indelible. Winner of the 1962 National Book Award and named one of Time's 100 Best English Language Novels, Walker Percy's debut, The Moviegoer, is an American masterpiece and a classic of Southern literature. Insightful and romantic, gently humorous, even as it plumbs the depths of despair. It is the story of a young man's search for meaning in a shallow, consumerist world. This was recommended to me as a companion piece to The Stranger by Camus, which was all right. I wasn't that into it. So maybe I like this one better. I mean, I know I like those 2 movies that he mentioned on the back. And I like movies and casual sex. So. Dinner at the Homesick Restaurant by Ann Tyler. Okay, so I don't talk about my reading projects as much as, say, Michael K. Vaughan does, but I do have reading projects, and one of my reading projects is to finish all the works of Ann Tyler. She's one of my favorite writers, to the mystification of Steve Donahue, who doesn't understand why I'd be so fascinated by Ann Tyler. But this one's interesting because the back cover does not have a summary of the book at all. It talks about her more recent novel, Morgan's Passing. So maybe there's something on this inside. Okay. So, after 8 novels that have brought her widespread acclaim and a steadily increasing audience, Ann Tyler now gives us her strongest work of fiction to date, Dinner at the Homesick Restaurant. It is a profoundly felt and deeply moving story about 2 brothers and a sister deserted by their father, raised by their angry mother, moving through the calamities and exaltations of their difficult youth into separate strategies for survival, and finally into a shared humanity. The place is Ann Tyler's Baltimore. The novel opens as the mother Pearl Tull, 85, and at last no longer angry, is dying. Her musings carry us back 35 years to the day her traveling salesman dandy of a husband left her. As she tries to hold together her family's disrupted lives, we see her children pummeled into adulthood through her excesses of maternal energy and spurts of terrifying rage. Handsome Cody, wild and incorrigible. I like to think of myself as wild and incorrigible sometimes. Driven to cruel domination over his brother and ultimately possessed by the lure of power and money. High-spirited Jenny, becoming a doctor, a pediatrician, nurturing strangers as she becomes more and more inaccessible to those close to her. And gentle Ezra, his mother's favorite, with a dream of a homesick restaurant where people come just like to family dinner. Except that whenever his own family gathers, meals are left unfinished, appetites dissipated in squabbles and tempests. What the passing of time does to the Tulls, what happens after Pearl's funeral, when they assemble for the last time at Ezra's table, is at the heart of this luminous, most accomplished novel by the writer whom John Updike has called wickedly good, and Jonathan Yardley pure magic. Well, I don't like John Updike, but it doesn't matter because I still like Ann Tyler, and I'm really looking forward to reading that. I've read several of her books, but boy, she's cranked them out. She's really prolific. Okay, so Trinity Fields by Bradford Morrow, signed by the author. I don't know how I came by this book. It was probably a recommendation by somebody. I don't know by whom. You know, they're probably watching this video thinking I recommended that to you, Randy. Kip and Bryce were best friends, born on the same day in 1944 in Los Alamos, New Mexico, the most secret place on earth. Sons of men who engineered the atom bomb, they played macabre games as children, tempting the fate that looms over their close community. As they come of age in the mid-60s, Bryce is drawn into anti-war activism, while Kip disappears into Vietnam and ultimately into the secret war in Laos, leaving Bryce to marry Jessica, the woman they both love. 25 years later, Kip returns, a ghost soldier come perhaps to reclaim what was lost. A powerful novel about innocence and guilt, atonement and healing, friendship and betrayal. This story maps the landscape of the American soul. That's what I need, is a novel that landscapes the American soul. Y'all forgive me for drinking on camera. If you've been following my channel lately, you probably realize it's important that I stay hydrated. The Safety of Objects by A.M. Holmes, now a major motion picture. Okay, this one, like Bradford Morrow's book over here, I have no idea how this got on my to-be read list. Published to overwhelming critical acclaim, this extraordinary collection of short stories established A.M. Holmes as one of the most provocative, enduring writers of her generation. Here you'll find the cult classic A Real Doll, the tale of a teenage boy's erotic obsession with his sister's favorite doll. Adults Alone, which first introduced Paul and Elaine, the crack-smoking yuppie couple whose marriage careens out of control in Holmes's novel Music for Torching. And Looking for Johnny, in which a kidnapped boy, having failed his abductor's expectations, is returned home. Brilliantly conceived, sharply etched, and exceptionally satisfying, these stories explore the American dream in ways you're not likely soon to forget. Working in Kodacolor hues, Holmes offers an uncanny picture of a surreal suburbia, outrageous and utterly believable. Okay, this looks really interesting to me. And there's a quote from Ruth Rendell here. Remarkable, awesomely well written. Here are all the things that even in our frank, outspoken times we don't talk about. We think of them punishingly in our sleepless nights. I like short story collections, and I rarely get to read them, so I'm looking forward to tearing into that one. Okay, so I'm down to 2. That must have been number 6. This would be, no, I'm down to 3. Okay, so I've got About Schmidt by Louis Begley here, which is the first in the series of novels about a character named Schmidt. This was made into a movie. Some of you may have seen it, which starred Jack Nicholson as the titular character of Albert Schmidt. Proud, traditional, and impeccably organized, Albert Schmidt is a buttoned-down lawyer of the old school. But now, after years of careful management, his life is slowly unraveling. His beloved wife has recently died. He stumbles, or is he being pushed into early retirement? And his daughter, his only child, is planning to marry a man Schmidt cannot approve of for reasons he cannot scarcely admit, even to himself. As Schmidt gropes for resolutions, he finds unexpected hope in an intense passion that comes out of the blue. Set in the Hamptons in Manhattan, infused with black humor and startling eroticism. I don't remember startling eroticism from the movie. About Schmidt is both a meditation on loneliness and on the power of romance to unlock the most impenetrable recesses of the heart. Sounds like it's right up my alley. Last two, Sea of Tranquility by Emily St. John Mandel. I loved her novel, The Glass Hotel. Let's see here. Edwin St. Andrew is 18 years old when he crosses the Atlantic by steamship, exiled from polite English society, following an ill-conceived diatribe at a dinner party. He enters the forest, spellbound by the beauty of the Canadian wilderness, suddenly hears the notes of a violin echoing in an airship terminal, an experience that shocks him to his core. 2 centuries later, a famous writer named Olive Llewellyn is on a book tour. She's traveling all over Earth, but her home is the second moon colony, a place of white stone, spired towers, and artificial beauty. Within the text of Olive's best-selling pandemic novel lies a strange passage. A man plays his violin for spare change in the echoing corridor of an airship terminal as the trees of a forest rise around him. When Gaspery Roberts, a hotel detective in the black-skied night city, is hired to investigate an anomaly in the North American wilderness, he uncovers a series of lives upended. The exiled son of an earl driven to madness, a writer trapped far from home as a pandemic ravages Earth, and a childhood friend from the night city who, like Gaspery himself, has glimpsed the chance to do something extraordinary that will disrupt the timeline of the universe. A virtuoso performance that is as human and tender as it is intellectually playful, Sea of Tranquility is a novel of time travel and metaphysics that precisely captures the reality of our current moment. I have high hopes for this one. Finally, last but maybe not least, Truman Capote's Breakfast at Tiffanys. Seen the movie, never read the book. In this seductive, wistful masterpiece, Truman Capote created a woman whose name has entered the American idiom and whose style is a part of the literary landscape. Holly Golightly knows that nothing bad can ever happen to you at Tiffanys. Her poignancy, wit, and naivete continue to charm. This volume also includes 3 of Capote's best-known short stories, House of Flowers, A Diamond Guitar, and A Christmas Memory, which the Saturday Review called one of the most moving stories in our language. It is a tale of 2 innocents, a small boy and the old woman who is his best friend, whose sweetness contains a hard, sharp kernel of truth. And that ought to keep me busy all month in August, but you'll notice that nothing there probably qualifies for Garb August except maybe heavy weather, but probably not even that one. And nothing was on the Kindle. I read a lot on the Kindle these days, so I suspect that will make up about half of my reading for August. But anyway, what are you going to read in August? Tell me about it in the comments. That's my TBR for August of 2024. And I'll be back with more videos soon. Until then, folks, stay sexy. More importantly, or at least as importantly, stay hydrated.